Welcome to Inside Chat. Thank you very much again for joining us. For those that are listening and those that are watching the recording later on, we're less than a week away now from our webinar on Elderwealth INSITE. So that's on Thursday next week. This product is a real additional service that can give residents access to their maximum entitlements. It's a product that meets the foundation principles of access, derived benefit, and what we really need to see is value for money. So if you're an aged care provider and you're looking to up your ante in terms of your services or provide just a really credible service for your residents, tune in and have a listen to how that system works. It's backed by aged care financial advisors, as well as our team who have got a lot of credibility in that space. So something to look forward to. The main discussion I want to talk about today is around the issue of bed blocking of aged care residents in Queensland hospitals, and in particular, or more succinctly, Brisbane Metro. So during this week, I met with several teams out of hospital networks. I won't mention which ones they are, but all of them are saying to a person that the issue is more dire and extreme than they've ever seen before. And in fact, it's getting to the stage where it's virtually impossible for them to keep doing their roles or their jobs as people keep coming through the network. It's simply starting to exhaust them. Part of the issue lies with the systems and processes that they're using. It's nothing new than what we've been stating before or blogged in our previous LinkedIn posts, etc. But where we see there's a real issue is one is with the systems and the processes that they're currently using, and the other is with accountability. So I'll go into more details what I mean about both of those things, but these discharge teams work hard, so there's absolutely no criticism of them. They're doing the best job they possibly can do, and they're probably overdoing more than anything else. So the overwhelmed situation they're in, we feel as Qld INSITE, we feel obliged to assist in that, and that's where we put our money where our mouth was and develop the portals that we did. We weren't engaged off the cuff to come and develop under a grant or anything. We've developed this because we've seen the need and we've put our capital into this. Where we look to see the system and process bit, it's about the hierarchy believing that you just call up aged care providers and they should be able to provide you a bed. And if there's no beds available, well, that's the problem of aged care. It's not at all, and I'll go into more detail there. The other part around the accountability is that there's a misnomer out there that aged care providers should simply just build more homes or provide more opportunity to hospitals to help them clear beds. They're businesses. The aged care providers are running commercial businesses, whether they're for profit or non-for-profit. They're also quite heavily regulated, which I know everyone out there understands this, particularly in the aged care world, but those that aren't in the aged care world, the heavy set of regulation really makes it quite difficult for you just to take anyone in the door. And we're seeing it now where some providers are removing their secure units, MSUs, whichever you want to describe it, but basically those places to keep residents safe that have a tendency to wander or have an illness that has created that issue for them. So if providers are removing those beds from the system and they're the people that are stuck in hospitals, there's a real miscommunication going on. And I think that's one of the key aspects and problems here, that it's really unknown between the provider world and the health network world of what the real issue of bed blockage is, because they don't seem to be talking at any particular rate that I've seen. When we look at aged care providers having to build more homes, for example, the commercial viability for providers is not to go and build a ton of new homes at the moment. The environment that we're in, the last couple of years, there's been a huge uncertainty around how funding mechanisms are going to work. We've now got uncertainty about what even the RAD system could look like moving forward, which helps fund these buildings. So as an aged care provider, if I had a couple of $100 million to invest in to build homes, I probably wouldn't. I probably would look to how do we improve what we've got right now and maximize those returns. So that's one area there that Queensland Health and the Queensland government really need to have a look at in terms of how do they bridge that communication. The second issue is vacant beds. As we said, some hospital networks hierarchy believe that there's no vacant beds, and that's the issue. There are vacant beds out there. We collect that data every couple of days, and we know that whilst there's not the hundreds that there were a couple of years ago, there are certainly vacant beds. We're also in an industry that has turnover of beds. We would probably experience 1/3 of our resident cohort would depart their homes, and that would create, well, 1/3 of vacancy rate through these facilities. So what happens from there is the aged care provider would obviously have waiting lists, or looking to replace as they need to. Um, there can be better systems to help identify an upcoming vacancy, and how they can then bring some of these people through, and that requires up to date and new systems, and that's what we've provided through our bed search portal. It really is a system that can help a provider communicate the vacancy type and the resident they're looking for, and it assists the hospital network join the dots with that and say, yes, I've got a patient that meets that vacancy opportunity, and then being able to send all the correct information through. And that's another big thing at the moment. I was explaining that last week, that the type of information that's coming through needs to be very clear, and it needs to be truthful, and it needs to have the full story so the aged care provider can make an informed decision. Not every aged care provider will be scared of taking on a quite difficult case, but they will all take them on if they understand what they're in for. And it may even require additional training or resource to help with that. And I'm sure through negotiation that can take place. But you need to have that information in a nice, clear format, reportable, that people can understand what the issue is going forward. We've engaged Queensland Health and Government on several fronts around this. And whilst we're not ignorant enough to believe for any second that they're just going to hand us over a contract on any of this front, they've got no alternatives. We've got a system that is ready to go, and it's in use now. They haven't presented any sort of evidence or system to say they've got something similar, better, worse. They've got nothing. So we really believe there's no plan or desire outside of vote stacking, and that sounds harsh, but it's really getting to that stage. And to be quite fair to the current Queensland government, the opposition have been notified around what we do here too, and they seem to be quite slow on the uptake. They're not in government, we get that, but they certainly don't have to be quoting procurement policy when they're looking at these sort of things. The other part of all this is change, and change in large organisations is quite difficult, and it can be seen as probably bigger than the other problem. We're aware of this, and there's resources out there to help navigate and bridge these things, and I'm sure Queensland Health have similar challenges around other changes that take place, but they do need to change how they look for vacancies and how the communication happens through vacancies. You can't any longer use the telephone and an unsecure email going backwards and forwards with resident details, and then wait on someone to give you another phone call back, and then come up and potentially view the patient in hospital by the bed, or get additional information. That's taking weeks. We have a system that can narrow that down to days, which will again help alleviate the problem. For any providers out there that would like to know more about the portal, we're going to be offering a couple of webinars to jump in and show how this portal works. I would encourage any provider out there to jump on and have a look. It really gives you the opportunity to clearly state the type of information that you're requiring. It gives you a good look at the patients that the hospitals are potentially needing. We already collect the vacancy data. We do it by type, but we can certainly tighten that up to even further parameters around what each provider is looking for. But there's plenty in there already. So, but there's always room for improvement around those things. It allows for smoother communication and tracking of progress. And that's another real big thing that's going to be moving forward. Our efficiencies in the industry need to improve. And this is one of those areas that can help with those efficiencies. And I think we've gone a long way as an industry from the old paper-based stuff to where we are now. So this will be quite a nice extra for your business. The final part of all this is really comes back down to how do we help elderly Queenslanders move through the system. from the feedback we got, we heard stories of patients that have been in hospital for a year or more. These people need to be in a comfortable place, and that's where we're looking at how do we use this portal as a system to help bridge that gap. Thank you for listening to me going on with a little bit of an editorial. We have our webinar next week. Please look out for the link to it. Please watch it from an additional service point of view, and those webinars that we're going to host around the bed search portal. Please jump on that if you're an aged care provider. It certainly will be a game changer in terms of how you assess and bring people through the system. Thank you once again, and talk to you next week.